Tennessee, the Knoxville Super Regional Champion and College World Series participant. We're joined left to right on your screen by head coach Tony Vitello, student athletes Jake Rucker and Evan Russell. As we wait on questions using the raise your hand function, Coach, if you'd start us off with some opening comments.
Yeah, heck of a day for Vol Nation today. Broncos fans got to be happy because we got Peyton Manning saying Omaha again. So these guys are as excited as you can imagine. Get an SEC team drawn, it's going to be a war. But I think our kids showed up with the right mentality today. They were certainly focused, but they were also relaxed. And I could not be happier that the guy on the mound at the very end was Redmond Walsh. Small in stature, enormous in heart, and it kind of represents what we got going on in our locker room and in our dugout. And then the last thing would just be, before I forget, a big thank you to everybody. I mean, ever since we got here, you've seen already this weekend, I do a lot of foolish things and kind of get out of control at times, but just wanted to get this thing to where people were proud of it. And I think the crowd today alone, but also the following on the street or on TV or via text message for these kids speaks volumes of where it's at right now. And it's at that spot because the guys have won, but I think it's been more about the fashion in which they win with some grit, and they play together. And for that to show up loud on TV or very obvious when you're watching in person, that means it's truer than true.
Thank you, Coach. Jump right into questions with Ben McKee and Trey Wallace.
Tony, did you make it through the dog pile unscathed? Everybody good to go?
Yeah, there was a knee injury later on in the locker room, but all in all, I think everybody came out okay. I mean, you hate to look ahead, but Redmond's out there. And, well, first of all, Camden was out there. His nickname's Bones. And if he finishes it, I'm saying just don't hurt this guy by jumping on him. And then we bring in Redmond Walsh, who I don't know who's winning in a UFC fight between those two, but I don't think anyone's going to pay-per-view for that one. So fortunately, everybody's healthy, and the celebration was what it should be. And it'll be a great feeling for these guys for quite a while. And then I think with their mentality, somewhere in there is probably going to be a shift to, what's the next task we got.
On a serious note, just what was going through your mind as that final out was recorded on that line drive to Jake Rucker?
Just catch it, please. But also, again, I think, I really wanted Redmond to have success there and come in and get the job done. I don't know that he threw one ball out of those two hitters. So there wasn't a lot of conscious thought at the time, but it was a great feeling. And then I wanted to see the kids celebrate a little bit. Usually it's a quick handshake, and then you want to be respectful of the other team. And that certainly is the case today, but made sure to watch for a little bit and see these guys, the smiles on their faces, because there's been a lot of days here where they're enjoying their work, but it ain't easy. It's not everything to smile about. So enjoy that vision. And it'll never leave my head.
Hey, Tony, I know you're sitting there and you brought that baseball with you up to the podium, which Mike Wilson wrote about a few days ago. Can you talk about just, 4 years, where you are now, what that means to you, that baseball right there, and then just the overall excitement for your team getting to go to Omaha?
Yeah, I mean, it just was a prop to bring in. It means a ton to me. It's kind of a personal thing, but it was grabbed as a story, and which I was good with, and Megan was good with. But the other thing is, you look at it in the office and you're like, well, that's not that many miles. I mean, I've been to Europe a time or two. So you just got to get in your car and you keep driving until you got to get more gas, and then you keep driving. And that's kind of been the thing with this group, is we never talked about Omaha a ton, but it's like, we got to get a little bit better. We got to repaint our weight room. We got to fix a closet in the as crazy as that sounds. That's kind of just been the inch by inch thing. So, but the real calculated reason I bought it is just so any Vol fans that tune in, gas up the car. We need you there. The teams that have success there, like the team we just beat, they bring a whole bunch of people. And, this is a special thing. You get rolling in during the year, and I appreciate the support. But people that have to do this for a living, you would never say, we're going to go to Omaha, or let's just get to Omaha. It's a grind. It is a grind to get there. So you got to focus on the grind. But now that we have kind of punched our ticket, Vol Nation's been a big part of us getting there. I mean, the fan support today and other days, I hope people can make the trip. It's a fun deal, and they do it right up there.
Continue with questions one at a time. Ryan Schumpert, then Mike Wilson.
For Jake and Evan, what were those last few minutes like after the final out, and what was the emotions when y'all were making that lap out in left field?
Go Jake first.
Well, obviously y'all saw how excited we were when we won. It just so many emotions went through our body, and just chills went through our whole body. Just all the hard work we put in over the summer and the fall, and all the coaching staff and the players who just put all the amounts of hours of work in the weight room and on the field and whatnot behind the scenes is definitely worth watching, and definitely something that we can look back on and just keep grinding.
Yeah, man, it was a surreal moment. You got 30 guys in the locker room that would do anything for each other. And this is a family. I have a pretty close family back home, but this is a family. And I don't know if it gets closer than this. We spent hours together, days together, doing some hard work. And, to see it all pay off on the field, and to see a program that we're building, and, to see a program that's here to stay for a long time, it's a pretty exciting deal. And, I think everyone's going to enjoy this for a long time. And, but, we still got a lot of work to do. And, I think a lot of guys in this dugout are ready for the challenge.
This one's for Tony and Jake. For Tony, what did it mean to see Jake have the day that he had today? I mean, in this moment, this stage, and kind of setting the tone early. And Jake seemed like a mostly reserved and quiet guy. What was that moment like for you down in front of the dugout? Looked like you were pretty celebratory with some fans there for a moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's corny, but honestly, what I thought of when Jake squared up a couple balls is like, this dude thinks it's the Little League World Series, because he made it there and was a superstar back in the day. And then the other thing was just like not surprised, but kind of, you got to try your best to not build this game up too much. But as the game's going on, you realize the magnitude, and just not surprised. Since we've been here, he's been on the field more than any player we've coached, and it's because he's steady Eddie. And so whether it's a huge game or perceived as, a trap game, or I don't know what would be in between, you get the same guy every day, and the same guy's pretty special on and off the field.
Yeah, obviously it was an exciting moment when squared that ball up pretty good off Marceau. Marceau is probably one of the best pitchers in the country this past year. And so me just getting that hit, and just seeing all the fans just overwhelming with excitement and cheering, it brings you just to have that feeling of you're on top of the world. And so obviously celebrating a little bit there, just try to get the fans going, wake them up a little bit, and just get the involved fans going. So
go next to Will Backus and Troy Provo-Heron.
Yeah, for Jake and Evan, you kind of get a win yesterday by grinding it out, and you come out today and get some early power and keep that consistent hitting. Just, what kind of confidence does that give you headed into Omaha, where you could get a lot of different looks in a pretty short period of time?
Go Evan first.
Having a college team and a lot of college guys, it's important to have a close group. And, I've been on teams where the pitching staff and the hitters, if we lost a game, it was kind of blame this, blame that. But, this team's a little different. Winning a close game where we needed some guts on the mound yesterday, I think it kind of carried over to, in a funny way, the hitters were like, hey, we got your back since you owed us one. So, I think it's pretty awesome to see a team not have one way of beating you. And, I think it gives us a lot of confidence in the locker room to, go out, and you never know how you're going to win. But if we find a way, it's pretty special. And with this group, you better be ready to watch, because we're always on the hunt to do some pretty cool things.
Yeah, Evan said it best, just all that confidence and trust that we have with each other. We don't yell at each other if we do something wrong. We pick each other up, and just having that confidence in each other just makes us who we are as a group. And so we still got a lot more work to do, like Evan said earlier, but yeah, we're just going to keep doing our thing and keep grinding out at bats, grinding out pitches, not taking anything for granted.
Evan, I know it's not over until Jake snags that line drive, but with that lead, is there ever a moment where you feel as if y'all have accomplished the mission and you're going to Omaha in that dugout in the middle of that game?
You know, there was some pretty good vibes in the dugout. You know, it was pretty expected that later in the game when we were up by quite a bit, we were going to win that game. But, you know, you can't celebrate too early, especially on a team like that. You know, they do have some mojo over there on that team there in the past. So, you know, you got to continue to grind out the game. And, you know, if you don't let up, you'll have good success. And that's what happened with us.
Wes Rucker and David Ubben.
Yeah, Tony, I know that Paul Maneri just a few minutes ago said that, you know, the way y'all have pitched the ball this year maybe doesn't get enough credit because people talk about the offense, but the pitching numbers, especially in this ballpark, are pretty good considering. And I'm wondering if the dimensions of this park, the way that it plays, has that changed the way that you've recruited some guys or recruited your team? And just what do you think of your pitching staff overall this year?
Yeah, I think it has affected our recruiting offensively. Pitching wise, I think what we're looking for fits into that little niche of what works. And a big part of that is you got to be tough. You got to be really tough. And Frank has pitched in places like Stillwater and Lubbock, or coach pitchers in those places where the ball can absolutely fly with the wind. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's our head baseball coach. I'm kind of the head coach of a lot of other things, but Coach Maneri's dead on. I mean, the guy, his resume is ridiculous. And I said it when I got hired. He's kind of notorious, if you follow college baseball, for being the guy that when a head coach is in trouble or in hot water, he comes and saves the day and reverses that, you know, into a true 180. So I figured before I ever get in trouble, might as well just hire him right off the bat.
Evan, you touched on this. So I wanted to ask Jake, what is it like to be in a game like this where you're kind of expecting that battle and multiple occasions you can look up at the scoreboard and see a 9-run lead? And for Tony, what does getting to Omaha mean for the program?
Yeah, I thought Evan touched on it pretty good on how, like, even though the lead was pretty big, you know, just going back to what I said, just like not really taking anything for granted, you know, just try to grind out the at-bats and grind out every pitch when you're on defense and stuff and get outs one at a time. Just having that mindset, it's a deadly thing. And so you can win a bunch of ball games like that. And so that's what we've been doing so far, and we're going to keep doing that.
I think it's hard to put into words, you know, going to Omaha, you know, they'll be dancing in the streets like crazy. So tonight, so that's the present moment thing. I think the next thing is the most important thing. That means we have a chance to make it to the national championship series. So, you know, you got 2 groups of 4 and, you know, it's 2 different tournaments, and the winners of each of those tournaments will meet, you know, in the middle for that championship series. So we've got a chance to win another tournament, which, you know, we were almost able to do in Hoover, and we've won our last 2. So we'll move on to the next one, and, you know, it'll be a fun group to be in that environment and take on that challenge. And then, you know, the obvious stuff is it boosts recruiting. It boosts season ticket sales next year. It creates a capacity problem at our stadium. So there's a lot of benefits, but I think the ones that are in our near sight, if that's the right way to say it, are the most exciting.
Jake Nichols and Ben McKee.
This one's for Evan specifically. Evan, I got a chance to talk to your dad before the game, and he talked a little bit about your journey from Scottsdale to Tennessee. When you look back and kind of think about travel ball in high school, putting on that Team Tennessee jersey and where you are now, can you describe that?
You know, it was never just sunshine and rainbows. You know, it was a grind, and this was always a place I wanted to be. You know, working in high school, for some reason, I knew I wanted to be a Tennessee Volunteer. And to be able to get the opportunity to come here, it was a dream come true. But as soon as I got here, I knew that something could happen, especially with the coaching staff coming in, that something was different, and it was on its way up, even if it was going to take a while. So, you know, being a freshman coming in and having the work ethic, but not really having the talent, or, you know, myself or even around us, to see what it has turned into. You know, it's pretty amazing to have that feeling of all the hard work is paid off, and, you know, there's definitely more to come.
Tony, I've got two quick ones for you. Why was this team the first one to make it to Omaha in nearly 2 decades? And you've always talked about how much your dad has meant to you in your coaching career. Have you been able to share a moment with him? I know there's been a lot of family down on the field. Have you been able to share a moment with him since you all won?
Yeah, there's a lot of old players former players of his that would like to see him crying and not being able to get any words out. Because he was a strict fellow when he was coaching, but he was a maker of men. And I was fortunate enough to watch him, you know, and grow up. And anyone who wants to throw me on someone's coaching tree, that's the coaching tree I'm on. That's the guy that's helped me get to where I've gotten. And then as it relates to getting any jobs, to be honest with you, Sean McCann, our video coordinator, is the guy who's helped me get any job. You know, that, and everyone knew I was a slave on the road. So those two individuals and Megan Anderson being the third were the three I listed off to the team that I owe them the most amount of gratitude that they get to go to Omaha and wear orange. As you know, Megan's parents said, the Vols will wear orange in Omaha, and that's going to happen. So like I said, fans, come on down and bring your green hat. And I think my other, you know, I think at times I get out of control on the field. It might seem like I have some arrogance, but if I had any arrogance in me at all, I would have been a better player. At times I struggle with confidence, and that's why I try and, you know, relay these messages to these guys. But my honest answer is I think last year's team could have went to Omaha. And unfortunately, the pandemic got in the way. So maybe the extra bittersweet deal or the motivation from last year and the core group of guys that were on a talented group last year is what helped these guys get there. But you can't do anything by snapping your fingers, but there's been a little daily improvement every day around here in a lot of different areas. And when you do that, you're going to get some level of success. But making it to this place is hard, and that's where our kids need to enjoy it and also capitalize on it.
I'm sorry, was there an element of that question for Jake, Ben? I'm sorry.
No.
All right, we'll go next to Rick Russo and Ryan Shumpert.
Tony, the bats weren't exactly cracking last night, but the guys did just enough to get the win. Did you have a feeling they were going to unload today?
Not, you know, I don't think you want to ever kind of, you know, predict you're putting up a touchdown or anything like that. But you saw a looseness there that made you more comfortable. You know, the Florida game down in Hoover, I think we won 4-0, but we saw some ridiculous arms and the park was playing big. That was kind of a vibe before the game that was similar to today, where it's like, all right, I mean, you got to put your work in and you're going to play 9 innings. There's a lot that can happen, but you sure feel good about it. And that was, again, kind of the vibe the guys had today. And I don't think they get to that unless, you know, they've accumulated. We're at 50 wins and 16 tough losses. There's been a lot of lessons learned because they've been good enough to be in an SEC final or a SEC series that's really hyped up, or it's, you know, supposed to be the most watched one of the weekend. So you kind of get some trial and error there, and you keep, you know, kind of finding your best, you know, kind of presence for each day. And today was good.
Tony, after the first month of the season, it didn't really seem like any of your players slumped for long periods of times. Just what kind of went into not letting a bad game or a bad weekend spiral into a bad stretch of baseball?
I think toughness. That's, you know, the weight room's behind us. I think toughness and willing to accept hard times was a part of that, because there wasn't some great, you know, sunshine and rainbows is what Russ used. I'll say that, first of all, we got video of him trying to catch as a freshman. So if anyone wants to see that, there's definitely no sunshine or rainbows going on for that. But, you know, it's been a grind, and there's some guys on our club with scars from, you know, a lot of tough losses and a lot of bitter pills to swallow. So when personal success doesn't come, you know, I think these guys are able to forge on, and they did so in a fashion that found a way to win some games ugly early in the year and put the personal deal behind them where, you know, maybe they weren't getting theirs or they weren't living up to other people's expectations and all that. I think kind of led them in the right direction.
Wes Rucker and Trey Wallace.
Yeah, for both players, I know that, when you're a college baseball player, everyone always talks about, Omaha, 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 like you want to get there. But so this is something that obviously you want to celebrate, but y'all seem to have a team that could go to Omaha and win the thing. So how quickly does your focus shift from celebrating this to kind of locking it right back in and getting ready to go, win more baseball games?
Start with Evan.
It's probably cliche to say, but I would say for me personally, it's right now. Even though it was a nice celebration out there after winning today, but for some reason it's expected. We have a talented group of guys. We have a lot of guys that want to win, and I don't think anyone wants to stop playing with each other. There's a lot of guys, including the guy to my right. I would love to play forever with him, to be honest. So, I don't think anyone's ready for this to end, and I know for a fact no one wants it to end, with us holding our heads down. So I think there's a lot of guys that are ready to get back to work tomorrow and, see what Omaha's about.
Yeah. Like Evan said, we're ready to go right now. I mean, obviously not a lot of teams get the chance, not like teams and players get the chance to go to Omaha, but obviously that's an awesome feat. But like you said, we're going to be ready to go. We're going to be lifting tomorrow, get after it tomorrow, and just get ready to be focused on going to Omaha and focus on that first game. And so just going back to saying not taking anything for granted, just focus on the task at hand, and we'll be fine.
Hey, Tony, Will Heflin, did not pitch this weekend. What does that mean for his arm? And, is it, I know it's a good thing, but in your mind, what does that do for next week, getting ready for the College World Series? And then also just kind of talk about Heflin for a minute and everything he's meant to the program. I know he didn't get out there and get on the field, but what he's meant leading up to everything.
Right. Well, he put us in a position to be more successful this weekend, not just get here, but more successful. And he also kind of solidified the pitching all year long. I mean, we know we got some grinders on the position side of things and can play defense, beat you different ways, but there's pretty big roles that have to be locked down on any winning team. And so it starts a long, long time ago, what he's done for us this season. And then it really starts a longer time ago, if that's even accurate, to try and change his program. That's why he came here. So it's huge. And I think he's just as happy as these guys that the thing ended today. But we all know he would have manned up and done his deal if we would have played again tomorrow. So for him, this is just my baseball observation. These guys may have a different opinion. I don't really think it means much. I think he's kind of got, strong conditioning and a rubber arm, so we can use him in a variety of ways. We haven't had to tax him this year. I think the bigger deal is winning in 2 and winning in 3 last weekend. We haven't really had to grind on anyone or wear anybody down out of the bullpen. So we'll get some guys, some repetitions before we leave, and we'll have a full staff ready to go, which I think is a good thing.
Gentlemen, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Go Vols.